Morgan Wallen just released his brand new album called I'm the Problem, and it has a daunting 37 songs on this album. And it's like, I am not even gonna approach trying to listen to that. But predictably, because it's Morgan Wallen, because he is a country superstar, he's attracted a lot of controversy for himself and people in his music genre. And a Variety music editor has penned an opinion piece that doesn't really have a conclusion, wondering whether it is ethical to support someone who is Trump-coded, like Morgan Wallen. And I just should preface this by saying this music editor at Variety, his name is Jem Aswad. That's his actual name. His last name is Aswad.
It is.
So we already know everything we need to know about this guy. I went to his Twitter. His header on Twitter says, "Men shouldn't be making laws about women's bodies." So this is the person behind the op-ed. Does being a Morgan Wallen fan make you MAGA? Why the country bad boys music is Trump-coded? Can we enjoy the Tennessee superstar's music without seeing red hats? As 80 years of popular music show, it can be difficult to separate the art from the artist.
Okay, this is bullshit because we're expected to separate the art from the artist every single day of our lives and do it without complaining, which we do. Well, okay, a lot of people complain, but I, for one, have no problem separating art from artist. I love it when actors that I love say stupid stuff because usually by the time I go and watch their next movie, I've completely forgotten whatever asinine thing they said. Anyways, we asked them to do it one time, and he didn't even say anything political.
Nope.
At all. He just makes a genre of music that you can't get behind.
Yeah, it is a double standard, and
He's
I
kind
think
of a
this
fuckboy
entire
anyway, so he's very liberal-coded in his messaging.
Well, that in his personal conduct, yes.
Yes.
This entire op-ed is a form of projection onto the audience reading it because Jem Aswad is the type of person who has ethical dilemmas about listening to country music. Literally, no normal person with real problems in their life cares or thinks about any of this. But he's writing this as if, oh, don't we all feel so conflicted about listening to Diddy's music? Like, no, nobody really feels conflicted about streaming music as a short distraction from the slog of their daily life.
No, any artist.
Nobody feels that way.
It's never bothered me.
And, you know, it's true. We do this all the time. I, for instance, am a fan of Lana Del Rey, who literally put a hex on Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And when I stream her music, I'm not having some kind of moral dilemma about co-signing all of her political opinions or her personal life decisions, her choice of who she married, anything. This doesn't pop into my mind, but it is something that plagues Jem Aswad over at Variety constantly.
My favorite quote in the whole article said, quote, a Trumpy middle finger to the world spirit. So that's there. He's declaring a spirited, middle finger to everything in the world is Trumpy.
He even brings up examples of artists whose opinions and personal lives are not featured in their art. For instance, Kid Rock, who is an open Trump supporter. He says it's virtually impossible to hear even a completely non-political song like Kid Rock's All Summer Long and see past his red hat and the idiotic things he has said.
Yes, I can.
It is not impossible for anyone other than you, Jem Aswad.
Yes.
Nobody else has this problem.
No, okay, no. That's wrong. Look, people on the right constantly say they won't watch things made by these. You're wrong about that. They love to talk about, I can't watch this stuff anymore. They say too many stupid things. And I actually think that that's more of a problem on the right because they have more people that they have to deal with that say stupid things. Whereas they get one artist that's popular. It doesn't even say anything political. He just kind of makes country music. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, the absolute temerity of this man for having views I disagree with, though he hasn't actually said those views.
Morgan Wallen has never endorsed Trump or any political candidate, implicitly or explicitly.
Morgan Wallen
chronicles here all of Morgan Wallen's public controversies, which are mostly stemming from him getting violently drunk, throwing things, and acting a fool.
So he's
None
just-
of that is political. It just means he's a jerk.
That's just what people did in the early 2000s. Really what he is a nostalgia callback. Morgan, I listened to the new album. Not 37 songs, my goodness. I listened to like maybe like 10 to 12 songs before I reached wherever I was going. As I've said before, he kind of makes fuckboy country, and he makes music. He doesn't make music for blue collar people per se. He makes music for suburban couples that like to go to sports bars on the weekend.
He has a lot of female fans who are thirsty
That's
for him.
why I said couples. It's actually funnier that way because he does kind of look like a rat. Like,
so
he's rat coated.
he lists the incident where Morgan Wallen threw the chair off of that one building in Nashville and almost got a felony charge.
I mean, that could have
for
been
it.
bad because if somebody got hit, that could have been very, very bad. But
Still, not political.
But they're like, he got kicked out of Kid Rock's bar.
Yeah. He was caught calling his white friend the N-word on a secret recording from a neighbor.
Mm-hmm. That
That might be construed as political because obviously, you know, white people are not allowed to say the N-word. It's all reprehensible behavior, to be sure, even if some of these incidents sound like the kind of stupid shit your dumbass uncle, cousin, or nephew
he
might
literally
do.
says the phrase MAGA coded.
But at a time when an unapologetically sexist and arguably racist convicted felon won the presidency after he put arguably racist. That's
like I'm surprised by
something.
that. Like
After running on a platform based on hatred, threats, intolerance, and retribution, it also captures a spirit of this era and is even arguably is this guy's favorite word, a MAGA flavored brand of punk rock. So Wallen has never publicly endorsed Trump, but he doesn't need to. His behavior and image are indisputably MAGA coded.
there's no link to these. Both of these things are vastly different. Neither of these are like the other.
His songs might be about drinking and bad decisions and being a badass.
Doesn't Trump not drink?
But it's hard to separate them from the very Trumpy middle finger to the world spirit that his non-musical actions seem to reflect.
What does that even mean?
So anything a man does that is boisterous or debaucherous or irreverent, and any man who is not ashamed of himself for just being male is MAGA coded.
He goes on. Is playing Chris Brown's music an endorsement to physical abuse? He's back in jail. Did you see that? He's in jail in the UK right now.
For
Like-
he assaulted somebody at a nightclub.
I don't think
They
it was
said that he took
grievous
a-
bodily harm.
He took a glass liquor bottle and just smacked someone over the head.
Is playing Led Zeppelin or Marvin Gaye's or Aerosmith's or the Red Hot Chili Peppers music a cosign of certain musicians' well-documented abysmal treatment of women, allegedly including underage women? Do you hear Great Balls of Fire any less often because Jerry Lee Lewis married his 13-year-old cousin? Is jumping out of your seat when a favorite James Brown song comes on excusing his alleged abuse of 2 wives? No, it's not. It's not at all. And it's never been that. You're weird. And everybody else is weird if you can't separate the art from the artist.
It's funny because most of this op-ed is comprised of rhetorical questions and then zero answers.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, he actually comes to a sort of conclusion that I agree with. He says, at the end of the day, we all judge whether we intend to or not, and the fine line of morality is a personal choice. And like so much else right now, the least destructive path is simply to put on your headphones and keep the moral dilemma to yourself. Well, that's not what he did by writing this op-ed in the first place.
Enjoy the music or the art. The funny thing about it is there's enough bad art, like, to judge the art on its own merits rather than having to worry about the artists themselves. We'll talk about it here. We'll dunk on it. We're certainly going to make fun of Pedro Pascal, who's going to cause problems for the very people that this guy is talking about by talking about politics in the lead up to Fantastic Four. If Pedro Pascal was smart, he would stop trying to be, I guess, leftist coded leading up to the release of Fantastic Four, because it might turn somebody off the way being MAGA coded is apparently turning people off of listening to Morgan Wallen, which obviously isn't happening because Morgan Wallen's audience doesn't read Variety.
No. It's sort of like guilt by association, but you don't even need to be associated with Trump to be guilty of, I guess, perpetuating the same boisterousness that Trump is known for.
Yeah.
And one of the musicians featured on Morgan Wallen's new album is Post Malone. And one of Post Malone's most popular songs features Morgan Wallen. It's called I Had Some Help. And this music editor, even though it's his entire career to analyze music and how it sounds and what it means, he completely misinterpreted this song. And here's the message he took away from it. This is filled with bad comical behavior, drinking, pickup trucks, and American flags. And the song itself is about deflecting responsibility for bad behavior. Someone else is to blame for my unsatisfactory circumstances, an attitude central to the appeal of MAGA and Fox News. I Had Some Help is technically a Post Malone song, but written and recorded with Wallen's team and clearly a play for his vast audience. That is not what the song is about. It's about a guy and a girl in a toxic relationship where they're both acting a fool and being chaotic and toxic with each other, and they're equally to blame for it. That's what the song is about. It's not about, I don't know, anything MAGA coded, anything Fox News coded. There's nothing political about the song whatsoever, but this person is desperate to read it into the message of the song. And Tate McRae is another musician featured on this album. Her fan base is mostly Gen Z girls and gays, and they're very unhappy about the fact that she has worked with Morgan Wallen. This one tweet says, Morgan Wallen's What I Want featuring Tate McRae is unfortunately aiming to debut at #1 on next week's Billboard Hot 100 chart. Unfortunately, this would become Tate McRae's first ever #1 single on the chart.
Wah, wah.
So she's hitched her wagon to Morgan Wallen's success, as she should if she cares about the trajectory of her career.
So
but she's getting punished for it by her own fans.
One of my favorite songs of all time is Can't Let You Go by Fabulous. And it is it's literally about his mistress.
Okay.
And it's justifying his mistress. I love that song. Was Fabulous in 2003 like early MAGA coded before MAGA even existed because he was deflecting responsibility and making poor choices?
The only way I could believe the argument that Morgan Wallen's music is MAGA coded is if he like had a single called Stormy Daniels. Like,
I mean, that would be awesome.
But I have not been convinced of this.
Yeah.
By Aswad. He's just kind of making vague associations with like.
This guy does something I don't like. Here's a politician I don't like. They're the same.
He's like, Morgan Wallen has a mullet and he's a fuckboy, and Trump has an interesting hairdo and he's also a fuckboy, so they're the same thing.
Has Donald Trump ever thrown a chair off of a hotel balcony and almost hit somebody with it? Because he's usually the one that's been in more danger in the past of getting hit with something at his rallies. That's the problem.
True. He would not take that well if that happened at Trump Tower. And I believe Trump, perhaps even if he didn't say it out loud, is the type of person who hates country music. I doubt he listens to it. Not that he hates country music fans, as Aswad does.
Yes.
But he probably doesn't like it as a genre.
It's not his
thing. He knows that a lot of his own supporters are huge fans of it, so he's not going to say so. But he's a city boy.
You think he wakes up and he gets his call from John Rich, and he's like, I remember when Diddy used to call me.
Yeah, he just misses back when he was mainstream.
He can't do it anymore. He's like, I miss it when Jay-Z would call.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.